Welcome to the Underpowered podcast, a gaming podcast where we battle our backlog, revealing what is worth your time, money, and energy. This is episode number 41. My name is Shelby Stokes, and on the cast today is trusted partner in crime, Casey the Cool Man.
Hello.
And the greatest showman, Sean Spool Pool.
Do I look like Hugh Jackman?
Don't we all wish we did?
Right? Is it he? Because he's the greatest showman, right? In the movie.
In the movie, yes.
I mean, you don't not look like Hugh Jackman.
Sweet. I could be his son, his like illegitimate son.
The only way I'm actually going to know this is if you get like a V-neck shirt and then take tin foil and make claws and put them on your hands.
And start doing all the steroids.
And do show tunes at the same time.
Yes.
You got to cover all Hugh Jackman films in one photo. Good luck.
What else has he done? What did he do? The Aviator or the Australian? What was the one?
The Australian?
Where he's in it's just Australia, I think is the name.
Aviator is not him.
And he's just
I don't yeah.
It's Leonardo DiCaprio, yeah. It's just I think it's just Australia, or the Australian is with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, he's in some he is Australian and she's Australian.
Oh, la la. I'm gonna have to go back and watch this one. I don't even know what you're talking about.
It was old. It's 2000s.
Oh, the golden age of television.
Yeah, it's not great.
Where do we go from here?
I don't know. I think we pigeonholed ourselves. I mean, we usually talk about video games, or we can keep talking about Hugh Jackman.
Let's talk about video games in Australia.
Let's talk about things down under.
Speaking of Australia, they have video games.
Oh, well, I know who's been spending time down under, down in the depths of hell, in Hades.
AKA Australia.
Sean, you've been playing Hades.
Yeah, I have been playing Hades a lot. Apparently, in the last week, I've played 18 hours, which isn't nearly enough. I've gotten to the third boss twice now, but I've beaten the first boss many times and the second boss a couple of times. And, it's good. It's good stuff. It's a game that really appreciates my time. A lot of roguelikes, because you don't lose everything when you die. Only one of your currencies really do you lose when you die. All the other stuff when you die, you respawn back in Hades' house. You can spend all these currencies and stuff that you get throughout the runs that you can upgrade your weapons, unlock new weapons, passives, all that stuff. And I really appreciate that you keep all that, because normally when I play roguelike, we were talking about this the other day, Spelunky. I'm not a big fan of Spelunky because when you die, you lose everything.
Oh, and you can't get it back?
Yeah, you just start over from zero. So you just learn the runs, you learn the maps and all the kind of things, and that's kind of how you go. Where a lot of that kind of comes down to luck. Any roguelike is it's all random of what kind of buffs you find or unlocks you get and things like that. And sometimes you can have a terrible run. Sometimes you can have an awesome run. Sometimes you can get just there's one currency in Hades where all you spend them on is cosmetic upgrades for your house. And there was one run that I was all right, this is going to be the run. I'm going to do this and this is what's going to happen. All I need is a Zeus upgrade, and then I got it made, and I get no Zeus upgrades. I get 3 gems of the ones that are just cosmetic upgrades. I died I think at the first boss, which I had already been to the third boss by then, so that was just terrible. But sometimes you can have a weapon that you maybe don't normally like, but you get an awesome upgrade and give it extra abilities. So if you have what did I use the other day? I had a shield the other day and was using the shield, and the shield's pretty cool. You basically just swing around, you dash around, you smash people, and you can throw it like Captain America if you want, but you can also upgrade it so it throws way faster and will bounce between more people. And that's nice because the god buffs are cool, but they usually just add spell effects like chain lightning if you use Zeus's, or Ares increases doom on people, which they after a certain amount of time they'll just take straight damage.
So I've played just a little bit of this game, and I did not even correlate the fact that each one of these gods is a different power up in a certain vein. I feel I'm early enough in the game where I'm just wandering in, and it's oh, okay, I have 3 abilities to choose from. But now that you say that, it makes sense. They're kind of all kind of tied into their character, it seems which I didn't really put together until you just mentioned it.
They do a good job of the progression is really good. So every time you die, you unlock more stuff back in the base. You unlock more passives that you can spend money on, or more weapons and stuff like that. So it doesn't punish you so much for dying. It's all right, now you can be stronger and go on this next run, and maybe you'll do it this time.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the way that they allow you to go and talk to each character, and then you get a book that counts down each conversation you've had with each character. So when you restart on the map, you know that if you talk to the certain character 3 times, you're going to get an unlock of some kind, or you're going to get an item from them.
Yeah.
So you basically can only talk to each character once as you're passing through into the run. And I thought that was a really smart way to throw that together, because now I'm going to go talk to everyone every time, which is only going to further invest me in the character.
And I think I'm 25 or so runs in, and I'm still having new conversations with everyone. So
I heard
it's cool.
something that there's like there's so many thousands of lines of dialogue. So there's a lot of end of the year podcasts. This is one of a lot of game of the year podcasts for 2020, or game of the year votes by big publishers. And from my understanding, the dialogue tree is really tight. The gameplay is super tight too, though. It's someone I heard it described as the best loop of 2020, where you're getting a good loop of the gameplay. You're feeling really tight in the game. And for those that are listening maybe the first time to our podcast or didn't hear our last podcast, you should go back and listen, because we have reinitiated the backlog challenge, and we have listed a few games, and Shelby has Hades on his backlog. The people have voted, the High Council of Gamers. So how far are you into it, Shelby?
I am only a couple hours in. I think I've done 3 or 4 runs.
Okay.
I only have the first weapon unlock. It looks like there's 6. There could be more. From what I can see, there's 6 mantles, basically, where there's 6 different weapons to choose from. I only have 1 unlocked beyond the 2 basics. So I'm very, very early on in the game, and I'm still kind of learning the ins and outs. Right, for me, it's like, okay, do a run. I'm now going to focus on this currency to get this unlocked back at the base. So I'm kind of just pushing for different currency based on what I want to unlock back at the main base.
Right.
It's also really interesting because once you finish one of the areas, it shows you the reward on the 2 different paths you can go down. So if you go down one path, you get a certain currency. If you go down another path, you get another currency. And what that allows you to do is like make runs that are in pursuit of a certain upgrade back at the house. So you say, hey, I want to get this currency, and go directly for it.
Like Darkness. I think the little purple crystals, those are like a good one, especially early on, because you get passives. You can upgrade your passives with it.
Well, I know that was one of Shelby's backlog challenges. Shelby, have you been playing anything that might be a personal choice? Because something we need to do today is Shelby and I decided we're doing 10 games total, right? And the High Council picked the 7. Twitter is still voting. Sonic Forces for me is not in the lead at all. I was very shocked. No one has voted. People might like me.
I didn't vote for it, I don't think.
I think most people... Inkfell is in the lead, and I think Inkfell is going to be my winner. And I think Control was in the lead for Shelby last time I checked.
And that is correct. I'm looking at it right now. And I am completely okay with playing Control. Let's do it.
And I'm okay with Inkfell. I'm very excited. I think that game's like right up my alley. But Shelby and I agreed we need to pick our own games. It's only fair. We let people tell us what we have to do. So we're going to pick 2 of our own games, but we're only going to pick 1 tonight, I think would be fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, do you know what your personal pick is, Shelby?
Ooh.
Because it's something you've been playing that involves Vikings, maybe?
Oh. AC Vahalla, by chance?
Is that going to be your personal pick?
Oh my...
Because then you have a nice little head start.
Can you do that, even though he's already however many hours into it?
Yeah, did you beat it?
No, I did not beat it. No, okay. I have not beat it. But it definitely has its hooks in me. Like, I cannot stop playing the game. Like, I want to be playing it right now.
That sounds like a clear personal choice one for me. I would be fine with that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I basically thought that I was close to being somewhere near the end of that game. And no, I looked it up, and I'm still 5 to 6 territories deep on that game, it feels like. And the story in this game really picks up. There are multiple storylines. So if you've played Odyssey, if you've played Origins, more Odyssey than Origins, there's multiple main quests that you can go down. One is hacking the Order. The other one's more of a personal character development quest. I am on the path with a personal character development quest, and I am blown away at how good it is at tying things back into the main narrative. The way they have it set up is you are going through and completing different territories with a main quest line. Normally includes 15 to 20 different quest missions. It kind of takes you all over that specific territory. And then once you have gone through that story arc, you come back to your main village and you get to add one of the characters normally from one of those territories onto your Viking raiding team. And And as you kind of build this army or these alliances throughout the course of the narrative, they come back in these big overarching arcs that you can get those different team members in that army and push through into a big battle. And I just did one of those, and I was blown away at how the choices that I had made previously in the game actually caught up with me in the main storyline.
That's cool. Sean, is this done anything to make you want to reinstall the game? Are you in that comments?
I'll reinstall it this summer.
Oh, you're going to wait. Was it the bugginess was an issue for you?
The bugginess was a big one, and just I hadn't gotten to that point where I felt like connected to the characters, really. I wasn't really into the main character as much as I was in, like, with Cassandra in Odyssey. Like, she had that witty, like, jokiness, where this was, like, just serious all the time. There was the jokey Dag, I think was his name. Like, he was jokey, but that was about it.
Dag goes places. That's a whole thing on its own. Anyway, what I will say is Cassandra from AC Odyssey, which we were talking about now, is charming as hell. Like, if you have not played Odyssey, she's probably one of the better protagonists I've seen in a long time, and you immediately fall in love with her. Whereas the character in this game is not as easily loved. I think you really have to stick with her in terms of gaining the different character build out that she has. And to be honest with you, she's a bull in a china shop, but that really has to do with a Viking, I think. You know, Vikings are supposed to be brash and run in and not think about stuff. And I think her character, especially in the beginning, is very of that nature. You're like, why you gotta fight? Why you gotta be that way? Can't you solve this diplomatically? And she's like, no, I'm just gonna go hit it with a hammer. You're like, okay, you can do better than that. The way the story kind of twists and turns is much more appreciated than I anticipated. Like, I normally come to Assassin's Creed games not for the main story arc. It's like, I don't know, we're going through some pages of history and there's some stuff going on with an animus. But I feel like this one is probably one of the best storylines I've seen.
Are you talking about the out of history arc, like the modern arc, or are you talking about the in-game or the?
Yeah, good question. I guess my point is on the other games I was not as invested, or I did not appreciate the story as much as I'm appreciating this one. This one, it definitely has its hooks.
You know, I know that for Sean it was the bugginess was the issue, and I know that can ruin a game. We had a little tiff in Discord with Dr. Zubat because I was just trolling him, but that was hard for some people. Like, I know that can ruin the experience when a game doesn't work. And you're playing on the Series X, right?
Yeah, and I will say the two individuals that are really in love with this game are playing on new consoles. Yes. I'm playing on an X series. Dr. Z is playing on an X series. Another guy that was in our Discord was playing on a base PS4, right? So, and you know, the reports are...
And I was on PC.
And you were on PC, so if any of those, PC should have been able to keep up, whereas...
Ubisoft is funny when it comes to PC stuff, though.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I'm glad it's working out. I've heard a lot of good things. I've seen it in the top 10 for 2020, so I'm glad you're enjoying it. And I like that we can tie that into your personal pick, because I know that was a monkey on your back.
Yeah, no, it is. And I was at that point where I don't want to move on. Like, I want to finish the game before I move on. And I was just like, well, I need to be playing this new list, so that makes me very happy. You know, I'll even throw in a DLC because I feel like I am.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it for you. That said, what is on your list?
Well, it's one that we kept talking about, and it's one that I play with my son actually, and it's Luigi's Mansion.
Ooh,
that is be my personal pick. I've always won that. It's a game.
3?
Luigi's Mansion 3, yes, not the GameCube one. I have the one on the 3DS, and I always jumped off of it. It was a really good 3DS game. Luigi's Mansion 3, very charming, very cute. My son, like, the music is really good because it sets, like, a spooky ambiance. And if you've seen Luigi's Mansion, the ghosts are very cartoony. But my son, the music creeps him out. So, like, the other day, he was asking, can we turn the music off? And since he was little, he can't say spooky for some reason. He always calls it smooky. So he's like, the music's really smooky. And I go, okay, yeah, you can turn it down. And I don't want to correct him because I think it's the cutest thing ever. But I will say, like, the aesthetics, they hit it. Luigi's perfect. Luigi is the giant coward. Either of you played a Luigi's Mansion game?
No.
So what's funny about it is they do certain things to make fun of, like, Nintendo's products. So in the 3DS one, when he called you, you would look at an old Game Boy Advance that would flip up, and SP would be, like, your communicator.
Oh, okay.
So your communicator with the professor in this is a virtual boy.
Like the...
And he called it the VB. Like the old Nintendo Red, like you put it on
visor.
when Luigi has to talk to him. It's an infrared screen where he has to pick like this and that.
Oh god, those terrible graphics.
Oh, Horrible graphics, but they do it really well, and I think it's funny that they're poking fun at themselves. The 2-player aspect of it, this is a perfect game to play with your little kid so far. You can't start 2-player right away. You have about an hour in, maybe, or depending on how fast you are. You have to unlock the ability from the scientist. You have to get him, and he gives you this goo, and the goo can become you. It's called Gooigi. The Gooigi is a character that you can be on a solo run, and you switch, and then Luigi will go slump. Or if you're playing co-op, Gooigi walks alongside you, and Gooigi, if he has 25 HP versus 99, and if he dies, he can come right back. So if your kid dies a lot, he can still be really helpful because all they have to do is press on the right stick, and they're there, and they're interacting with you. So my sons love that because the pressure's off on him, and he's trying new things with the game. Sometimes he gets scared with games, but he's going right after it on the boss fights. My biggest complaint, though, the controls are really bad. It's tried to do something where the left stick makes you look on a horizontal plane, and then the right stick you can do up and down. So sometimes you want to be turning one way, so instead of turning back, you have to turn a full circle because of how your back's turned. Weird. Yeah, so it just sometimes and you're like, what are you doing? No. And it's like, no, Luigi, no. And it could just be
talking to the screen. No, Luigi.
It could be me.
No, Luigi, stop, Luigi.
He's like, it's you controlling me.
Stop. You're gonna get the ghost is gonna get you. The puzzles can be somewhat challenging. There's each floor. So in this one, you're not in a mansion. Either you're in a hotel.
Is what you're saying. The whole thing is a lie.
It's a luxury hotel.
It's not Luigi's hotel.
I know. It's a mansion hotel. And you're
0 of 10.
You're unlocking the boss fights. Give you different floors. You're trying to get the elevator floors back up. But each floor has crystals that on the current floor I am, because there is like a night themed floor. What's the restaurant you always want us to go to? Medieval Times. Right? And I sent Sean was like, let's go to Medieval Times. And I sent him like this whole community talking about real friends don't go to Medieval Times with their friends if they like them. And then we went to a Renaissance fair anyway.
And it was fun.
It was fun. That was fun. But the floor there, the gems look like swords. Right? In one floor, they're square. So I don't know what the collection of the gems do. It's something that my son, when all the ghosts are cleared out, would love to go back and just explore. Does
Nintendo know something we don't know about crystals and gems in like motels?
Well, was this a conspiracy theory that I haven't heard of yet?
Right? Does every floor I just see someone running around like a floor of a hotel. Where are your crystals? I know you've got them.
Those crystals are something else.
Yeah, they're made in a bathtub. It's a whole thing.
They're made in the bathtub. Yeah,
chasing the dragon.
But Luigi Mansion's really fun. The price point on it, I don't know. I'm going to wait till I'm done to give my full thing. But the control aspect does really bother me. I do think if you have a young kid and you want to get them into games, and it's really the Luigi aspect's really cool. It's like, remember in Sonic the Hedgehog how Tails could always come back in Sonic 2, right? If you play 2-player, so it's like that. It's really rewarding for the second player. The second player can contribute to you.
Spoiler alert for Sonic 2, everyone.
Okay, that game came out 92.
I didn't know Tails was going to come back. Well, I'm glad that you're enjoying it. I mean, that seems like a pretty good game. I'm a little upset that it's not
it's fun.
Called Luigi's Hotel, but I guess I can get over that.
I know.
Like, does he get a mansion at the end? Like, are they going to tie it back?
I don't know, maybe he gets the hotel. It's a luxury mansion-style hotel. Like, maybe it's an Airbnb. What if they called it Luigi's Airbnb?
Yeah.
Because it's a mansion that they're just renting out for Airbnb. That was tied in.
Dude, that's brilliant.
Why is he doing? Is he like a Ghostbusters? Like people call him up to have him come clean out their place, or does he just happen to be staying?
He happens to be staying there. Mario's there. Princess Peach is there. There's some Toads there, and you're saving them along the way. So we just saved our first Toad, and the professor.
Like a Nintendo convention? Or are they all staying in the same hotel?
They're all just saying they're on like a vacation.
Do you get to like talk to everybody at breakfast every morning?
Yeah, just like make awkward talks, like, "Oh man, scrambled eggs."
Yeah, while you're sitting there waiting for your omelet to cook, it's just like, "So, how was your night?"
No, I said no mushrooms. I said, "Yeah, it was good. It was good. My night was all right." Yeah. No, Luigi has weird bouncer with the no. It's not like that. It starts off like, okay, there's something wrong with this mansion, and Luigi's the only one that seems to notice. And everyone's like, "Oh, what's going on?" But look, it's perfect because that.
And so no one will listen to him, so he makes a goo man out of himself because that's
Luigi's perpetually scared. You know, he's like the big coward. And so it's funny that they put it. It's it's the right character for that game. What was really big, and we're not going to talk about this in news. The company that makes Luigi Mansion 3, and they always made Mario Strikers. Nintendo just outright bought that company. It's a developer in Canada. Because Luigi's Mansion's like one of their top 16 selling games, grossing games of all time, with only 3 installments. So they're really close to nailing it, and there's some co-op games where you can 4-player battle royal stuff. I haven't looked into that.
So what I'm hearing is that Luigi Has No Friends, and it's made by a Canadian developer. What are your thoughts on Canadians, Casey? What are you trying to tell us exactly?
You mean America White?
America's Hat?
No, I'm kidding. America's Hat? Canadians are right.
You're going to make all the Canadians mad.
I know, I want him to keep listening. I love poutine. Hockey's cool. Very excited for the Krakens coming to Seattle.
Non-Canadian hockey team.
Your maple syrup's delicious.
Well, before we move on from the backlog, I think I have to pull a little bit of a crawfish on my list that we recorded last week.
Okay.
I don't think I can play a Nuzlocke run on Pokemon. I just...
A Nuzlocke?
You can't even say it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you are. You are. It's a Nuzlocke. No, we're not.
Way.
No.
Hey,
no. End of discussion.
You want to know how to ruin Pokemon? Oh, here we go.
No, it won't. I promise you, it makes it more fun. I promise you.
This is coming from the Pokemaster. You have Pokemon tattoos underneath your shirt line. I understand. Yep, right there. Exactly. Why is there a squirrel covering your belly button? I don't understand.
It's actually just a Pikachu with his tail left. I promise you, we're not taking no take-backsies on this. No. Shutting that conversation down.
This one scares me. I was reviewing that afterwards, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to work. We're going to have to crawfish on this immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
You got to at least try.
Oh, yeah, I'll try.
Just like
I'll
Sekiro.
give it the effort.
I promise it'll be nicer than Sekiro.
Just like Sekiro.
Dude.
Oh, if this is anything like Sekiro, this will not be happening.
I'm going to give you a lot of coaching tips on it. I'll set you up. You're going to be fine.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And you know what else is going to be fine?
Maybe we should set up a Twitch, and it'll be like Casey Plays Pokemon.
He's controlling your thumbs.
I'm trying to find him a segue. You know what? And I think it would be better for you because I know you're a pretty violent guy, but I know you can't play video games anymore.
Swing and miss.
Swing and miss?
And guess what happened this week, guys? The news.
The big three news. So our big three news. Shelby, do you want to lead us off on our first story?
Sure. We have a study that just came out that is talking about how there is no link between violence and video games. This is a pretty cool story. It's a story that gets a little bit in the weeds regarding the study between these two not having much correlation at all, right, Casey?
And there's been studies on this before, but this one's way longer time period.
Yes, this study's they've been doing this for 10 years, and the study's now found that the connection between video game gore and real life behavior is practically non-existent. The study found that high initial violent players gradually play less violent games over the course of 10 years. And interestingly, when they were more likely to be depressed when they played bloody games. It made them sadder over time. They didn't like that. It did the opposite effect. Give them a little empathy.
They didn't like that COD whatever intro scene where they go and murder all those
that was
people.
Dark.
At the airport, terrorist mode? Yeah.
Yeah, at the airport one.
Probably not. No.
Remember that?
Yeah, that was very controversial.
That was really uncomfortable, that whole sequence.
But it made them sad. And that's what we learned.
Uncomfortable's okay. I think people need to be uncomfortable. But I think that's great because, the government, there's been senators for years that try to attack video games for the wrong reason for people. The issue is everyone tries to blame something else and now ownership's on the people for their consequences or their actions. And there's other correlating facts to all these people that have these violent outbreaks that aren't just video games that are bigger.
But Casey, what will I use as my scapegoat if I can't use video games?
Let's see. Bad parenting. What
That's
else?
Too real. Something else.
No one wants to go after the parents. That's my first move.
Virtual reality, VR.
VR, yes. Yeah, we sat them in front of the TV all day and let it raise them, and now they're acting weird. We never gave them hugs or told them we love them. I wonder why they acted like that.
I always thought it was a funny correlation. People are like, oh yeah, video games are doing it. But then they'll sit there and they'll sit down with their kids from when they're little and watch, violent movies or rated R movies or things like
Terminator.
that. You know, whatever. But it's, it's been a scapegoat kind of thing forever. With no real backing, just like music was way back in the 60s or 70s or whatever,
or in the 90s when everyone went after Marilyn Manson. Remember when he was like, "Oh, Marilyn Manson's bad"? And it's like, yeah, his music not great. I can see.
Turns out he is a bad person though.
Yeah, is he?
Yeah.
Oh,
he did bad stuff to ladies.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's one of those guys. I mean, like, I'm not surprised.
But he didn't make people violent.
No.
And he's also never played a video game.
Yes,
so that
yes.
totally works into the story here.
That's why he is a bad person, because he didn't play any video games.
It's funny because it's like something that I feel like anyone that plays video games knows. I get that, like, from a parent's perspective, you see your kid, like, playing games. Maybe they're playing even Fortnite or, like, some other shooter, and they're yelling at the TV or swearing into their mic or whatever, or something like that. And you're like, oh, it's the game, but it's 100% on you, parent. I'll let you know. It's 100% on you. I've heard kids on voice chat or things that are like super polite, and they'll be like, sir, I'm sorry, or whatever. You know, like, it's silly and it sounds hilarious, but
there's kids that are ruthless, and there's kids that talk funny trash, and they're good at game. You know, like, there's all sorts of stuff around it. It really comes down to, I think, limitation, and monitoring your kids' screen time is important, because they need to be unplugged. You know, like, my kids have to do certain things to earn screen time, and I love screen time. Like, my favorite thing in the world. I have a podcast about it. I don't think if someone's violent, there's other issues, and I don't know. I'm just glad that there's been studies, and this will help, and this won't be an argument anymore. So, congressmen and government agents, give me your best shot.
Or my favorite thing is, like, the parents that will buy, like, Grand Theft Auto, like a mature rated game. Like, they have ratings. They'll buy, like, a mature rated game because they're just ignorant and they didn't pay attention. Their kid's like, I want this game, Dad. I want this game. And they're like, okay.
I think I talked about this before. So when I worked at GameStop, when I was going back to school to get my master's, I had a mom, and there was, like, a 10-year-old son next door. And she's like, you want this game? I look at it, it's Grand Theft Auto 4. And I go to her, I go, is this for him? She goes, yeah. I go, okay. I just want you aware of what goes on in this game. Some people just sell it. But I was 10-year-old, and she goes, oh, absolutely not. She had no clue. And the kid looked at me, I'm like, sorry, dude, you're too little for this. You're going to thank here. And I went and recommended 4 other awesome games for him. And they came back, and they liked me because of that.
Like, it literally does the same thing movies and TV does, where it says rated M, and then it'll say, like, violence, coarse language, you know, drug use or whatever on there. So
also, the case of Grand Theft Auto has, like, a whole bunch of guns and stuff on it. Like, how tone deaf was this mom?
Scantily clad women.
Yeah, I know.
I think as our generation continues to get older, this is going to become less and less of a headline, to be honest with you. I mean, we grew up with games.
Right.
Games that look like more like they do now. Like, I think a couple generations ago it was Pong, it was maybe the NES, but it was hard to draw comparisons between those games and these games. So yeah, as we get older, I think it's going to become more commonplace. And it is. You're already seeing that.
So what Shelby's saying is the generations that think this way are dying off.
Exactly.
But to Sean's point with television, I know Shelby always talked about, I saw True Lies when I was 7. It's fine. Would you let your kids watch a TV show like The Witcher 3? What about Elder Scrolls? Yeah,
wait,
probably.
What do you mean, an Elder Scrolls TV show?
Thank you. So, rumors are this is just a
You're
rumor.
welcome.
Rumors come via industry insider Daniel Richmond from Game Rant. He reports that Netflix is looking to adapt the franchise. This is just a rumor right now, but it's given that it's possible because they have confirmed that there's going to be a Fallout TV show coming. So it's certainly possible. And I know there's a new big Elder Scrolls game coming from Bethesda, so I don't know how they would do it, because they're not really like a main character, right? Because you're the character, you make your avatar.
Yeah. I mean, there is a story. Like, if you watch Elder Scrolls Online, has a bunch of, like, blur awesome CGI trailers they have for, like, every expansion, and there's a cast of characters in there. It'd be interesting to see what generation they would do. I would wonder if they would go for, like, that Skyrim kind of time period, just because everyone knows Skyrim or has played it, that they would be targeting. But they have their new Elder Scrolls game that's supposed to come out at some point in the future, Elder Scrolls 6, that they're working on.
Shelby, what are your thoughts, though, on... Would you watch an Elder Scrolls show yourself?
I would. I would watch one. I think that in terms of them shooting for success, I think they almost have to put it outside of any world that anybody knows. I think what we're finding is that if they make if they keep it in world, but they put it in a different timeline and develop those characters and still keep the mystery there, maybe a couple nods to characters over the course of the series, I think that's the way to do this. That said, I enjoyed The Witcher, and The Witcher was set right during the time that the game was.
Yeah.
It felt like, or roundabout.
And it was a huge book series before it was a game, correct?
True.
Yes, it was a huge book series for it. I hope they make it like a Hercules or a Xena type of show where it's like a weekly monster or whatever weekly. They're on a quest, and every week they got some new kind of thing going on.
I would love like super campy Elder Scrolls like that. That'd be hilarious.
I just can't wait until like the main character gets over encumbered because they have too much moldy cheese in their pockets.
Okay, let's put it over under on this. They make the show. First, second episode, arrow in the knee guy.
Oh no, that's probably gonna
first,
happen.
second.
They're gonna have to call to it at some point. There's a lot of things. I hope that they have some humor and make fun of themselves in it, but I don't know. It's hard to say with Bethesda. They take themselves serious most of the time.
Do you think the company Epic takes themselves seriously?
No, I've seen those Fortnite skins.
They did before their most recent purchase.
What is this purchase, Shelby? Why don't you lead us into our final news story?
Oh, they decided to buy a mall.
Right.
No big deal.
A whole mall. They're gonna put their headquarters right next to an Orange Julius and a Wetzel's Pretzels.
So they bought the whole mall, and they're gonna keep the Orange Julius and the Wetzel's Pretzel.
My understanding, so Eurogame report that Fortnite is taking control of a hometown shopping mall in Carytown Center, and it's going to convert it into its company's headquarters by 2024.
What city is this in?
In North Carolina. That's where, because Epic was started by Cliff Bleszinski.
Was it really?
Yeah. That's where
he created Epic. I know he did the Gears stuff. Was his big.
It's.
I don't believe he did. I don't think he started Epic.
I don't think so.
A former game designer from the game development company Epic Games. Okay, so he was a game designer. Sorry, I respect. So Cliffy B, though, is one of their main people. And isn't Cliffy B really important to the creation of the Unreal Engine?
I don't think he still is anymore part of their company.
No, he's done. He's out.
Yeah, he's retired again for like the third time.
I remember watching something and they were based out of North Carolina when they were making Gears. So, yeah, that's where Epic Games is from, is in North Carolina.
Yeah, and don't you guys worry about Cliffy B. He's going to be all right. I think
he's fine.
Has stacks upon stacks upon stacks.
I like Cliffy B. His Twitter's funny. I'm a fan. I like him.
Casey, what was the name of the last game he made?
Wasn't it Gears of War?
It was a solo kind of project, and it bombed hard.
It wasn't Bulletstorm.
I'm cheating. Lawbreakers 2017.
Lawbreakers.
Yeah.
It came out and it crashed. Like, I think at peak it had like 2,000 people.
Oh, was it?
It flopped hard. But his claim to fame is Gears of War, right? Yeah. That's his game, or the franchise that he pioneered back in 06, 07, 08.
Yeah. But back to Epic. I like the move because, I don't know how malls are going to stay in business or what's going to happen with COVID and everything. Taking a whole campus of a big mall and just turning it into your headquarters is great because I think it also has stuff built in, and if they want to keep some of those storefronts for people to go like, hey, this is where our employees eat lunch. Like, this is our food court.
Yeah.
Right?
Got infrastructure there.
Really, you could keep the Orange Julius and the Wetzel's Pretzels.
Free Orange Julius Thursdays. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could incorporate it into your food court, and then you just have that one annoying booth guy that's sitting there,
random
like
kiosk,
flying the little like glowy helicopter thing and whatever else, just there for fun. Just keep him around.
Maybe they're going the other way with this. Maybe they're buying the shopping mall to do an IRL Fortnite style Royale game.
Yeah. Yes. What if they're just making the greatest VR experience of all time?
Oh, you could have so much cool laser tag or something in there.
It's probably really cheap real estate, so it makes sense. Because all these big tech companies want to buy like forest or land. Like I always think of that Parks and Rec when they're trying to buy Pawnee.
It's a lot of acreage for probably cheap.
If my office got moved to a mall, I'd immediately buy adult Heelys.
Or just roll everywhere.
Yes,
not kids Heelys.
You have to be able to wear them.
I think you should do that now. I think that'd be a power move. You come into meetings and slide in, everyone be like, guys, this dude is serious.
You don't want to be the scooter guy when everyone else got Heelys.
Do you guys remember the soap shoes back in the day where it had like
soap shoes?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah, it had like the center of the foot cut out, and it was like a piece of like hard plastic, and you could jump up and grind on like rails and stuff.
Oh, okay. I remember those. I didn't know that's what they were called or whatever.
No, I didn't do that because it sounded like a bad idea. I'd be like, I think you guys are going to break your arms. And then Billy did. So I was
No, I'll stick to my fingerboarding. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll stick to my check deck. Oh, man. Well, speaking of boards and new games and board games and video gaming, we're going to move into our final segment.
Nice.
So I have talked Shelby into doing Dungeons and Dragons with Sean and I.
Tricked is accurate. Tricked is definitely
Tricked is accurate. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Tricked trap.
I tracked.
Tricky trap.
I did a tech deck flip.
You rolled a 35 and...
Can't do that.
No, why not?
I mean, you could, but not really.
Oh, I only play with 35-sided dice or above. That's the only way I'm doing this.
Oh, well, no.
Oh, okay, then yes. Very weird shape.
I think Chappie got us into it because, Chappie was talking about in the last podcast. He's like, he loves D&D. And I would love... So Sean, I play a game with Sean, and Sean's taught me a lot on the ropes. So Sean, he moved to Canada for a while.
I did?
And he went north of the wall. He's a wall watcher. He came back from the wall in his segment, and he brought back D&D to me. And I learned that this game is something I wish I found sooner because it is so fun.
You guys heard of this new thing? It's called D&D, Dungeons and Dragons.
I mean, I've always heard of it, but my parents were like, don't play that or don't do that. Don't be weird. And I'm like,
don't be a nerd. Come play WoW with us.
Right. Come play WoW. They're playing video games. It's fine. WoW's way. I think D&D is so much better. And Chappie wants to do a D&D campaign. And it's with COVID, I've learned it's really easy to do over online because of a website called D&D Beyond. And so we're doing a segment called the Dungeon Dive. And what it's for is for people that are interested in doing Dungeons & Dragons or want to try it or never have. We're going to run through about building characters and starting it. And then eventually we're going to release episodes of our Dungeons & Dragons games, but it's going to be very theatrical in that we're going to have sound effects. It's going to be more like a radio play or a podcast play, not radio, because this isn't on terrestrial satellites. We're going to start tonight by making our characters. Okay? And we're jumping in Shelby into the world of Nerdland, and we're going into D&D Beyond. For those of you that are interested in making a character for D&D Beyond, you have choices called Standard, Quick Build, Randomize, right? We have those options. We're going to do Standard, I believe. Correct, Sean? You're going to help me make sure I'm doing this right?
Yeah. And I'm not going to choose the help level because I'm going to venture in.
So D&D Beyond, again, I'm plugging them. Sponsor us!
Creating a character.
If you have a friend that plays a lot of D&D, they can share their online material with you, and it gives you access to more races, more books, more spell types. If you ever were into theater, or if you ever played make-believe with your friends, this is like a really fun way to incorporate it with a board game, especially if you love RPGs. So Shelby, go back to the top. We gotta name your character.
Oh, we gotta name the character.
You gonna name him first?
I guess, you know what, let's go to the race. I think that's important. You're right. Let's go to race. Where it says advancement type, make that milestone versus XP, because XP... So, traditional players do get experience. People that play really technical will do, like, this character gives you so much experience, right? Like, Sean, from your experience from DMing, defeating this much monster gives you this much experience.
Yeah, it'll depend on what Chappie does, or how the DM does it, but... A lot of them will do milestones. Some of them, if you're playing at like an Adventure League game, which if you go into a Wizards of the Coast, which I don't even know if that exists, but if you go to your local gaming place, Adventure League is an official set of rules that every Adventure League D&D game has to play, so you can go from one place to another and like bring your character with you, and everything is like legal, and it's not homebrew.
It's pro D&D.
Yeah, if you go to one of those, then they probably use experience and not milestone and things like that. And some campaigns probably use experience. It just depends kind of on the DM and the players.
So I'm good to go.
But then you're gonna have the choice of race. And different races benefit you based off your class. Like the choices we have Raka, which are birdmen. ASMR? What is ASMR? That's always Azamar.
So you got Arakakra are like bird people. Azamar are human angel hybrids, so they have angel blood in them. And there's different variants. Bugbear.
You could be a centaur? Whoa.
Yeah. So Bugbear is like a kind of a buff goblin kind of thing. It's like between a goblin and an orc. Centaur is pretty straightforward. Changelings can like change what they look like. Dragonborn are dragon people.
Right.
Obviously you got your dwarves, and there's different kinds of dwarves under there. Mountains, hills, other kinds.
The traditional races, I understand, are like elves, half-elves, dwarves, humans. What else? What else would be traditional?
Halflings.
Halflings, right. That's the
What
Hobbit.
is a grunge?
Yeah, grung. They're called grung, I think, is how you say it. They're kind of a new one. They're like little, like poison dart frogs, is what they look like.
You could also be a lizard folk if you keep going down, or even better, a turtle, which is a turtle man.
Yeah, I was thinking about being a turtle.
What's a loxodon?
A loxodon is an elf person, or not an elf person, a elephant person.
What?
Is what I meant to say.
What?
Yeah, So a lot of these have been added in more recently.
So Shelby, what are you going to be?
This is just a tad bit overwhelming.
It is.
It is, but it's just for funsies.
Then you got Genasi, which are like they're genie people.
Ooh,
so there's
Genasi.
air, earth, fire, and water.
But you also got to think about your
Hybrid.
class too. Like if you're going to be more of a magic class or this or that, right? Like certain stats benefit you.
But don't worry about that. Just think about it, because since you're doing this for more RP reasons or like more for a show, it's like whatever you think would be fun. Like you could be like a turtle monk.
A turtle
No,
monk, huh?
stop
Or something.
Stop.
Like
That's what I'm going to do that, or I'm going to be a cat monk. Okay,
but you could be like a turtle bard. I was thinking of being like a turtle bard or something would be fun.
do it.
But you can like do things that you wouldn't really expect to be that way. Like you could be.
I can tell you what I'm going to be. I am going to be a tabaxi. I'm going to be a cat man, and I'm going to be a monk. I want to be a karate fighting cat, and I'm going to skin him to look like my cat. I kind of want my character to be like my cat's a Maine Coon, so he looks kind of fat. So I want it to be like an overweight monk kind of guy. Sean, what do you think? What are you going to be?
know. I might. I have a halfling bard that I've been sitting on forever
If you want to be that again, you could. I think the turtle would be a nice twist.
because I've never played him.
If we were all animal people and Chappie had to do a whole furry team, yeah.
I think a turtle would be fun too. Turtles get claws.
Dude, this is crazy. The
Yeah.
amount of depth involved in these characters is amazing.
That's what I love about it. To be honest with you, it's oh wow, look where all these twists and turns, and it's just a character. You can make this person. These stories can be so in depth, right?
And if you're worried about messing up, you will probably, no matter what you make, experience like their character or their class seems cooler than mine. Everyone does. And then you get an idea for your next character.
So there's one of three things that's going to happen. I'm going to be one of these fallen angel dudes, which you're going to help me choose which one. I want to be either a genie or somebody that has water attributes.
Oh, there is a water genasi.
Ooh, that's the best of both worlds.
Genasi, that's a race. That's the genie, like genie blood race.
Dude, but if I choose a
Yeah.
water genie, I could be the wet Will Smith. That could be my character's name.
The wet Wilson.
But isn't there like the Triton people too that are mer people, which I think would be up your alley too?
The merman? Does it come with a trident?
They're called the Tritons, right? Isn't that how do you say it? Sean?
Tritons, like King Triton.
Triton bot.
I know you were a swimmer in high school, so I think this would be fitting because you were secretly a merman.
And I have strong swimmers, so it's all good.
You do. You have procreated. This is full circle.
Well, they have a lot more perks going on. They got dark vision, so they can see in the dark.
That's really useful because when you're playing on Roll20, sometimes your character can't see down a hallway, and then there's a bunch of monsters, and guess what? You couldn't see it, so roll for initiative.
Yeah, but now my Will Smith pun doesn't work, so I mean now we're really gonna have issues. Okay, let's go with Mer Triton.
Okay, you're gonna be a Triton.
Okay, so I'm in. So this is my homeboy. Now do I choose some of these stats?
Now you gotta pick your
Gorgeous
class.
class.
Which some would argue
Oh my
is
gosh.
tougher than your race.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Cool. A Mer Archer? A Mer Monk?
I'm playing a monk. I'm gonna make it clear. So I've chosen my character. I'm gonna be a tabaxi.
You can be a monk too if you want. Don't let Casey's persuade you, because there's a bunch of subclasses which changes it completely.
That's true, but if we want like different things, oh man.
Like there's shadow monks, there's fire monks, there's
the monk that solves mysteries on
There's
TBS.
all-
I could see if you're the merman. What with charisma, you'd be
But
a good paladin. I think you'd be a good paladin personally. You could be a druid.
I'm a merman. So
what do you want to do? Do you want to cast water spells and stuff?
Sure. But I think a lot of that's already built into the character, right?
None
So
of
is it
those
better?
do damage.
Yeah.
Those are more like push or control things. And it looks like you can only cast them once a day, basically.
Oh, I see.
I could also see Shelby being a sorcerer.
So wizard is like book magic, like book learned magic. Like they've studied for like 50 years reading books, and that's where all their magic comes from. Sorcerers are
Yeah.
born with it. Either there's magic in their blood, or like one day they woke up and they're the chosen one, and they get like a feature called wild magic later on. They can kind of customize it and stuff. I think sorcerer's one of the least played
Yeah.
classes in D&D for some reason, but
Sorcerers can also be really good faces in that because you have such high charisma, and charisma is important for them. If you build your charisma, like You can persuade people to give us money or give us missions. Or you can do really fun stuff if you game with the DM. And if the DM's game, can I convince this whole army to fight for me if I give like a passionate speech? And then you can roll, or the DM like, okay, let's hear your passionate speech. And then you might have to improv a bit, which would be hilarious.
So you're rolling it back. Druids have they have elemental classes. So if you want to go like more with the elemental thing, druid is also a good.
Here's the other thing about druids. Druids can be any animal that you saw.
Yeah, and so druids, they get wild shape by default at level 2, which lets them, like Casey was saying, you can turn into animals. So later on at level, you get to pick your subclass, and your subclass specializes even more. So druids have some really cool specializations. Like there is star druids of the land. There is one that's all focused on like fungus and disease. They do like dots and diseases and things like that.
And then I could like name my character COVID-19.
You'd have to spell like COVID 910, like something.
Right. Corona.
COVID, yes, COVID 910.
COVID.
You're gonna be the virus spreading guy. Sean, I know. Okay, your race. You have chose a.
I have chose the turtle, the most honorable of all races. They are turtle men. And I think
could be a ninja turtle if you're monk. We could all just be monks. We could just go all monks.
I'm gonna be the lost ninja turtle brother that ended up going down the rest of the sewer and washed up here.
So are you gonna have a Renaissance painter name?
I never got named by Splinter. He never saw me.
I think it'd be fitting. Like maybe, but okay.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Well, okay, and you gotta pick a class. So I'm curious what class you're gonna choose here for your turtle.
I don't know. I'm torn between. I might go a warlock.
I would say you'd be a good sorcerer too.
I feel like a turtle warlock would be kind of funny because I would have a patron god or like patron devil or god basically.
Shelby, have you made your choice?
I think I'm gonna go druid.
You know, Chappie bet you were gonna be. So side note, Chappie's listening. I know he said he was gonna check it out. He said I think Shelby's gonna be a druid because he made a druid in WoW. And he said that at the heart, and he got you 100%. Wow. You cannot name this character Brian Cole.
Oh,
okay? That is not.
Come on, Brian Cole the second.
You can be Cole Brian. How about that?
How about Brian Cole Jr.
The third. Yeah, I'm kidding.
Yeah, he could name it whatever. Don't let Casey control you. Let him do whatever you want.
Whatever you want. If I be Brian Cole, that'd be hilarious. Be Cole.
So proficiencies are basically like skills that you are good at in the real world, and you get like a bonus basically to anything you have proficiency with. So if you roll to like say on there medicine, so medicine checks are used to like identify what this poison is or this plant would probably be survival, but like if you want to look at someone and see what kind of damage they've taken on their body, like do they have a broken bone, you would roll a medicine check. And if you're proficient in it, you add your bonus of +2 or 4 or whatever your proficiency bonus is.
And so D&D Beyond does a really good job of when you pick your class, you get to choose, okay, do these skills like proficiencies. Like for mine, I'm choosing Insight and Acrobatics. And then I can choose a musical instrument or artisanal tool. And I think I'm going to have my guy play the lute or something random. Maybe a horn. I don't know.
So those skills that they give you a list of, you have animal handling, which is fairly straightforward. Casey in our D&D game tries to use animal handling for anything to do with animals, and that's not always the case. Animal handling is like trying to calm down an animal. Arcana is just like knowledge of magic. And then you got religion, which is kind of like the Arcana, but it's for religious-based stuff. Survival is more if you're in the overworld. You're wandering through the forest, it's like follow someone's tracks. Or if you're like trying to forage for food in the woods. Medicine, like I said, is kind of like you want to look over someone's body and figure out what's wrong with it. Nature is like it's kind of like Arcana, but for like anything having to do with Mother Nature, like plants and trees and animals and stuff.
What's the difference between insight and perception?
Insight, kind of a detective thing. Like if you look at someone, you want to know if someone's telling you the truth or not. Perception is a really common, useful ability. Perception's like you walk into a room and then it's basically has to do with any of your senses. So
like what do you see? Can you see like, oh hey, that thing's shiny? Again, it's really important to how you're going to want to play your character.
Gotcha. So, and I get to choose 2 of these.
At this point, your background, which is a separate thing later on, we'll add other ones. But
yeah, like if you like, yeah, and that'll be a different when we do the next check-in on this. So now we're gonna hit next. Now the final thing. So again, and Sean, before we do that, are you being the warlock turtle?
I think I'm gonna be a warlock.
Yeah, cool. I like it.
Is that or an artificer? But I think I'll be a warlock.
Well, do warlocks? So do we have a face?
What?
Like a face is a term, right, for the person that's like does all the talking for your group, right?
Oh, yeah. They are charisma based.
Are they? Oh, good. Okay. Then you're
Doesn't mean my charisma's gonna be high.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
I'm a turtle.
This is true. Hey, man, turtles have tons of charisma. Michelangelo?
True.
Okay. So what we're going to do now is we are going into the next phase. We're going to use D&D's Beyond section to roll dice. We're going to choose manual, and what's really cool is you'll see their 20-sided die roll along the screen, but then we're going to place our stats individually into where we think they need to best go. Because if you get a bad roll for your charisma in your charisma-based class, that would make it not fun to play.
Yeah.
That you got a 14. That's a pretty good roll. I would recommend let's do all our rolls because then you can pick which stat it goes to.
Yeah, so because each class uses different stats.
Don't pick a stat yet, because what if that's your like best stat? Right?
It tells you, I think, back on your class or whatever page that like they favor you're a druid, probably wisdom and dexterity.
So what are your rolls, Shelby? Tell us your
14,
rolls.
9, 15. I rolled 11 twice and 16.
So you got some decent rolls.
I'm going to tell you mine. It's 11, 9. 9's pretty bad. 16.
So 16's good.
13, 14, and 12. So I got some decent rolls. Sean, what about yours? What are your rolls?
I got a 14, a 12, a 12. Oh, yeah, getting the good rolls. 14, a 14. I want a low. A 14. I got 4 14s and 2 12s. Wow.
So something you can do, there's a website called rpgbot.net for people that want to try it, and you can type in your class, and it gives you a good rundown on like what you want to do and how to build your class. If you type in and just to Google whatever class you're playing, Druids, D&D 5e guide, and 5e is 5th edition. That's the current edition of D&D. That's what everyone tends to play, and rpgbot.net has great guides for that, and they're free to read.
But so to explain ability scores a little bit, you got strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. And anyone who's played an RPG game probably has a general idea of what most of those do. Each class kind of has things that work better for it. So like obviously a wizard probably wants intelligence because that will give them a bigger, not necessarily a mana pool, but will affect how much damage they do with their spells. Those are all tied to sub-abilities. Like we were talking about Arcana earlier, or Insight and Perception. Perception, I think, is tied to Wisdom. Insight might be Wisdom or Intelligence.
I have it right here. I can tell you. I have it pulled up. Animal Handling, Insight, Perception, and Survival are all based on wisdom. Same with medicine, which you picked, and wisdom's important. But for like intelligence, nature's intelligence, investigation is intelligence, history, religion, I believe, is intelligence, and same with arcana. Strength is athletics, and strength, that's the only real strength one, is athletics.
Strength you use a lot for like strength checks. So like if someone tries to like grapple with you or like push you off a cliff or something like that, it would be like a strength contest, so you would like go against someone else.
So I want to take the high number and put it towards wisdom based on what I'm
whereas
doing
like
here. And then this breakdown regarding this rpgbot.net page will help dictate where these other points go.
Yeah.
Unless, and this is the thing is with these stats, is like unless you want to like be a super melee based druid, then maybe, and you want to use a club. Like Casey in our other campaign was told that charisma wasn't going to be useful for his ranger, and then it turns out Casey really wants to try and persuade and intimidate people, and you know what that relies on? Charisma.
And it's always I have a -1. I have a -1 like roll, so anything I roll, it's a minus. So that is the first segment of dungeon diving. We're going to be doing dungeon diving. It'll be something we'll do monthly. This is a lot of recording that I am editing down. But I think that's a good stopping point. I can see Shelby's a little excited. His wheels are kind of turning.
I'm gonna have to review this character. Like there's a lot to this. Like, and now you have to memorize the different ins and outs of your character and actually play it, which is more than I anticipated.
Yeah, please don't be like Casey and not read what your character can do when we go and play.
Hey man, I did that 1.5 times, and then I came back and I was really good. And there was a big change in my character because of the new book. So hold your horses.
He got a second shot, but he didn't know until after the session that he could attack twice.
Yeah, I could attack twice, and I found out I'm actually really strong now.
Shelby, I think that's it for the night.
Yeah, thank you for joining us out there. We truly appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you want more, feel free to follow us on our social channels in the attached description. You can also check out our website. It's underpoweredmedia.com. We're also in Discord. Feel free to leave us a review as well. 5 stars, please. And that is a wrap for this week's cast. We're out.
Play your games.